Hi everyone, we have a major update here for the DM32X manometer, and it's more involved than just going to the rStore and updating apps. So we're making this video so that you can follow along and do all of the updates yourself over the air. But of course, if you have any questions at all as you get going, you're always welcome to reach out to our tech support team. So this update includes improvement to the battery meter, so that way you have a better idea of how much battery is left on the DM32X. It also enables the hotspot on the gauge as well, so that you can generate Wi-Fi from the device and then pair a phone or a tablet to it if you would like to. And for those who do a lot of commercial multi-fan testing, you can now use a static IP connection with the DM32X, which means you can now use it with Ethernet switches instead of just relying on routers. This way you can have more places to plug in more gauges if you're using a lot of fans and gauges in one spot. And there's also improvements to all of the other apps, including the Gauge app, rCloud, the Resources app. There's improvements to those as well. So we'll go ahead and get started on showing you how to do this. To get started, you want to make sure that your gauge is connected to the internet. So from the home screen, you'll swipe down and then you'll see internet. You'll click on that and then make sure it's connected to a Wi-Fi network. Now that your gauge is connected to the internet, back from the home screen, you'll now swipe up and then open up the rStore. And then update the rStore itself. And then once that app updates, it'll close out and then you'll go ahead and relaunch it. And once you open rStore again, scroll down and you will see the Updater app. So go ahead and open that up and tap on Update. This will take just a few seconds to download and then click Update again. Now once the Updater app is open, hit Apply Update. Now this will take about 15 minutes or so, so make sure you have some time to let it run and update. And when it's finished, it's going to tell you that the update has been applied and that you need to restart your gauge. And a way you can do that, you can just hold down the button on the side until it says shut down or restart. Go ahead and hit restart. Once you've rebooted your gauge, once it comes on, you'll see a message. And depending on how old your gauge is, will determine on what that message says. So if it's one of our first DM32Xs that came out before we had the battery update that came out of the factory, it'll tell you that your battery meter has been flashed. And to really get the most accuracy out of it, the best thing to do is to go ahead and reboot the gauge again, let it sit on the charger and get a full charge, and then unplug it and let it drain completely. That will train that battery meter how to accurately represent how much battery you have left. Now, if you have a newer DM32X, that message is just going to say, hey, we checked your battery meter, it's up to date, and to make sure that it has the latest settings, go ahead and reboot again. So either way, whether if it's older or newer, you're still going to reboot at this step. Now, this next part is really important to enable your Wi-Fi. You'll swipe down and then you'll tap on the internet tile. And then you'll see a message that says you'll need to select a region for your Wi-Fi to work. And you'll see that there are 4 to choose from. So Canada, US, Europe, and Japan. I know that's weird how that's set up. If you're in Canada, obviously choose Canada, US, US, Europe, Europe. If you're anywhere in Asia, select Japan. And if you are in Australia, select Europe. Now, I think that covers a large bulk of our customer base. However, if you have any questions about that, feel free to reach out to our tech support team. So I'm going to choose US since that's where I'm located. And you'll see once I make that selection, it's going to ask me to reboot the gauge again. And I'll need to do that to permanently activate that setting. Next, I'll show you how to turn on your Wi-Fi hotspot. So from the home screen, you will swipe down and then go back into your settings. And then you will scroll down and tap on hotspot and tethering. You'll see a message that pops up. You could go ahead and hit OK on that one. And now you can see where you can enable your Wi-Fi hotspot on your manometer. You can also customize your gauge's network name and password if you choose to do so. So here we'll type in DM32X and put in the serial number. Now I'll enable it to turn it on. And if I go out of here, back to the home screen, and if I swipe down again and then swipe over, I'll see where I can quickly get to that hotspot menu without having to dig through the settings menu again. for those of you that do a lot of multi-fan, large building testing, I'll show you how to select your connection type, whether if it's DHCP or static IP address. So from the home screen, if you swipe up to see your list of apps, go ahead and click on the Ethernet app. This app has been completely redone. It's included with the firmware update that you just did earlier. So if you go ahead and launch it, it should be up to date. And now if you see at the top, you can see the different connection types that you can choose from. You can choose DHCP, you can choose static, or you can choose link local. Link local just allows you to connect your gauge to a computer. So if you're just doing a single gauge test, then you can just use Ethernet or USB to connect that gauge to the laptop. So there you have it. That is how you update your DM32X to our latest update. Yeah, I do realize this is not a quick process. This does not happen often. Usually you can just go into the rStore and update your apps. But for this one, to really change some physical components such as the battery meter, getting the Wi-Fi to enable, it is a pretty lengthy process. So just make sure you set aside some time for it. So hopefully this will be helpful to get your gauges up to date. And as always, if you need a hand, reach out to our support team, shoot us an email or give us a call. And speaking of support, thank you all for supporting us. We certainly could not do the cool stuff like this that we're doing with manometers these days without you. So thank you all very much.